Welcome out to the American Retirement Institute podcast. This is ARI Study Hall. My name is Mark Owens here with Mike Douglas of Life Plan Financial Design. Mike, right out of the gate, what are some of the conversations, some of the concerns that you're hearing from adults near or in retirement right now?
Well, there's quite a few things that are top of mind, and there's some that are always the staples, right? How do I get income? What do I do about a volatile market? Is the market at an all-time high? Is it about to crash? Those are the staples.
Right.
But more and more, those are like the classic hits, right? They always play.
Yeah.
But what we're hearing more and more is a new concern about taxes. How do I keep as much money as possible of what I've earned? Because for a long time, taxes has been treated as this negative thing, right? Well, there's two certainties in life, Mark, and they're death and taxes, right? We associate those two things very closely. And when people come into workshops or when people come into our classes and they hear us, they say, I don't want to talk about taxes and I don't want to talk about estate planning. Why? Because I'm dead or I'm paying taxes.
It's not fun.
And but we're looking more and more. People are saying, I want a holistic retirement. I don't just want to know whether or not I buy an annuity or whether or not I buy certain stocks. They want to know, where do I get income? How are my investments managed? What is my risk? How do I deal with that? How do I deal with taxes? And how do I build a good estate plan?
Yeah.
Because we work for 25, 30 years and not doing a good tax strategy means I pay an extra $200,000 in taxes. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Or I don't do an estate plan and now the government gets a say in how my money gets to my kids. Nobody wants that stuff. So as net worth has grown, as education has grown, we're finding more and more people want to be educated on subjects like taxes and estate planning and a holistic retirement rather than being sold on products for retirement.
I'm glad you brought that up about education. Mike, do you feel that most adults, for whatever reason, lack that financial education, if you will, that's necessary in this ever-changing financial landscape?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not that information's not available. It's that we don't want to learn things that we're uncomfortable with, right? So when I was 16, I had this Chevy Cavalier, right? An old Chevy Cavalier. It was my first car. It was a stick with manual windows, manual locks, right? So when I do this thing and my kids don't know that I'm saying to roll down the window,
100%.
I changed the oil in that car because I had to. And I couldn't afford to take it to an oil change place. So I changed the oil and it was super simple, right? Like those old cars were really easy to change. But as cars have evolved and gotten more complicated, I don't change the oil in my car anymore because now it requires removing some big plastic splash guard and doing all this stuff, right? So now I go to a professional because to learn how to fix my car, like I can't just take a hammer, hit the alternator and get it to start get me some juice again.
Yeah.
Cars have gotten too complicated for me. And so now it's to the point where I just have to go to somebody and they educate me on how to do it. In the same way, finances used to be you just throw money in your retirement account. And when you retire, your income will be lower, your taxes will be lower, you'll die sooner. And so just ride out the storm. But people don't want to ride out the storm anymore. Retirement is a destination. It's part of the journey. It's something to look forward to, not something to deal with.
Yeah.
And I think that now what's happening is people are becoming more educated or having the opportunity, I should say, to become more educated, right? There's podcasts, there's YouTube channels, there's all this stuff. In the midst of all that, though, there's a lot of sales propaganda and there's a lot of people that are going to come pushing their stuff and they're just going to try to get you to just click, buy, give us your money.
Right.
And the problem is trying to sift out signal and noise, right? There's a lot of noise about retirement. You get the articles, you get AARP to send you stuff. And depending on the day, $1 million is enough or isn't enough to retire. Depends on who writes the article, right? And all this frustration. But yet when you have something like ARI comes in and says, you know what? I get that your brother-in-law maybe does his own stocks. I get that some guy paid for a steak dinner for you to come hear his stock tips or his annuity pitch or his tax plan. I get it. There's a whole world that's trying to sell to you. And the financial industry is out there for the financial industry. They're not out there for you. You're the commodity. You're what they're trying to buy. ARI takes a different approach and says it's your money. It's your retirement. Do it on your terms.
Yeah.
Become educated. Choose to buy. Don't be sold. and work with people, get information from people who are fiduciaries, who work in your best interest, who will do whatever it takes to make sure you feel comfortable with the life you are building. Because at the end of the day, I didn't save the money. ARI didn't save the money. You saved the money.
Yeah.
It's your money. It's your retirement. How dare someone come in and tell you what you have to do? Instead, it's, you know what? I just spent time saving for the last 35 years so that me and my wife or me and my husband could go do this. We want to snowbird. We want to go travel. We want to do these things. And ARI says, let's give you the tools to do that on your terms, regardless of what all the noise around you is trying to say.
I love the way you put that. And by the way, just in full disclosure, you're talking about having the old school Chevy and rolling down the window and used to change your oil, but those days are gone. I will fully admit in my new car now, and by new, I've had it for like 10 years, I didn't even know that the battery wasn't in the hood. It was actually up underneath the passenger seat. I drove it for about a year before I realized that.
Yeah. Everything's electronic now. It's crazy. And again, I loved it. It's like, I used to be able to, if the battery is dead, well, sometimes I could just pop the clutch and get this thing rolling, but no, man, cars have gotten so complicated and everything has, right? With technology, with growth, with information, finance is more complicated. Taxes are more complicated. How we cook, the stove we cook on is more complicated than it's ever been before, and every once in a while you say, man, I just want to understand what's going on. That way I can do it the way I want to do it.
And I think that's where you come in and the team at American Retirement Institute. So walk me through it because, Mike, retirement has changed. The economy has changed. We talked about that. So walk me through the class. What do you provide? What can we expect?
When you come into a classroom, you expect to be heard and also to hear. Right? You want a dialogue. You want a conversation. Too often, though, the commercials don't let you talk back. The commercials don't take follow-up questions. The steak dinner. And again, I get it. I see the value in all of it, right? We're trying to communicate to the world. But ARI is built different because the idea is, what if we work together for you to understand? So when someone sits down on ARI, we're going to go through and cover a very comprehensive plan. So, come prepared to learn. It's not a sales pitch. It's not a 30-minute talk. We're going to be there and we're going to put in some work. But in the same way, if I'm going to invest as an individual 2 to 3 hours of going to become educated, I want the person speaking to bring it. I want them to bring all these different things and help me understand. So when we talk about understanding not just taxes today, but taxes for the future, and at the end of the day, how do you net more out of what you grossed?
Yeah.
Our whole life is spent in the net of what could have been, right? If you ever got a raise at a job and you got a $10,000 raise and you're super excited and you get your calculator out, and you say, man, that's $833 a month. Yes. And that's $400 a paycheck. And you're super excited. And then you get your first paycheck and you're up like $150 because the federal government got a raise, the state got a raise, your FICA got a raise, everything got a raise, and you got what's left.
Yeah.
Retirement is about keeping as much as possible. Don't be overtaxed. So what we're going to go through with ARI is, how are you taxed? How to avoid tax. We can't avoid all taxes, right? Like, I'm not going to give you some here's the silver bullet to never pay taxes again, because that's for most people not realistic. But I can tell you this, we just walked through this with someone recently, and we had it by the time they turn age 70, they'll never pay federal income taxes again. That is the type of thing we're trying to teach people at ARI workshops, how to understand the tax code, play within the rules so you can win within the rules. That's the first thing, taxes. Number 2 is how to invest appropriate for who you are and build an investment strategy that's built for your life, not for the convenience of the financial industry or an advisor. How to live on your terms. Number 3, how to build income that's appropriate for you. There's a lot of different ways to get income. And depending on who's paying for the commercial or the seminar will determine what they tell you is the best option, right? If they're an insurance guy, they'll sell you the insurance. If it's the stock market people, they'll sell you the stock market. If the bank, they'll tell you buy a CD, right? Well, at the end of the day, it's not their money. So we're going to help you understand how to build an income plan that is right for you and your family. Then also how to build an estate plan. Estate planning is not a $20,000 gig or $10,000 gig. typically it's doing a few documents the right way and understanding if this money goes to my kids, it's better my kids than the government. So I might as well put some documents in place, but I don't understand. Do I need a trust? Do I not need a trust? I have a kid with special needs, or I have a kid who is a wonderful kid, but stupid with money. How do I protect them from blowing it all in the first 3 weeks?
Yeah.
These are all just parts of education, understanding how to use a trust or how to use wills. So again, building that fivefold approach, if you can walk into a room, sit down with a group of like-minded people who are there to learn or there to help educate, and when we all walk out of there, I understand how my income's going to come in, how my investments should be built for myself, how my risk is managed, my taxes and my estate plan. That is a successful retirement, and that is what you get from ARI.
So when you just mentioned that, somebody walks away with an education about that fivefold plan, we're talking taxes, your investment strategy, income, legacy, so much more. When somebody walks out, tell me the emotions of what you hope to see, because I know one of your big jobs, Mike, is to take the emotions out of retirement planning. But when somebody leaves ARI and they're heading back to their car, emotionally, what is your goal? How do you hope they feel?
Well, there should be a weight lifted off their shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because at the end of the day, the things we don't know are the things we avoid. The things we hate doing are the things we avoid, right? So there's probably a reason why most people aren't CPAs, because we hate the idea of dealing with the tax code every day, all day. I can't do it. The same way some people are laundry cleaners, other people are laundry folders, and some people are good at putting away laundry, right? I love to think that we're great at all three, but every one of us has something that we're great at. I'm really good at getting the laundry through. I don't like putting laundry away.
No, right? My wife was really good about leaving it in the washing machine for 3 days and then having it again.
Yeah. Then run it back through. Had to let it soak a little bit, And that's the thing. The things we don't like are the things we ignore or avoid. But when it comes to your retirement, we don't get the privilege of ignoring or avoiding things because it's going to cost us. So instead, what we can do is the more educated we are, the lighter the burden. So when we walk out of this thing, if every person who comes to ARI can walk out of that room saying, I get it. I understand it now. I still may not like it, but I get it. And most importantly, do I have a plan to attack it? Right? Because I get it. Nobody likes taxes. And I wish I could just tell you, hey, come to this workshop and you'll never have to pay taxes ever again. But there are those people we can go through and build a plan for in our lab sessions and say, hey, if you do this, like the clients we just worked with, by age 70, you'll never pay income tax again. That's federal income tax, I should say. That's a beautiful place to be. Mm-hmm. Well, if you sit in your car at the end of this thing and you can say, that was worth it, I feel good. That's the way we want to be.
So, Mike, I like what you have to say. I'm interested. How do I get involved with American Retirement Institute? How do I become part one of these great events?
You can go to americasretirementinstitute.com and get registered for a class there.
Excellent. Again, more information, AmericanRetirementInstitute.com for all the information about this great event before we wrap things up on this study hall. Any final words, anything you want to tell those adults that may be interested in coming being part of this class?
I'll tell you this, it's free, but it's got value, right? Sometimes things are free and they're cheap. This is not that. This is an investment. You come in, you spend a couple hours, we're going to figure some stuff out together. And when you walk out of there, you'll be saying, hey, that was worth it.
I love it. AmericanRetirementInstitute.com for more information. Hey, Mike, thank you, buddy. Thank you for the education. Thank you for the information. And thank you for joining us. You can find all of the links, all the information here in the show notes. But for the entire team, this has been the American Retirement Institute podcast. This is Study Hall.